Hey, hi all. In this video, we will see how to pass values from flow to apex. So let's start. So first of all, we will be creating a flow. So for an instance, it's an record triggered flow, and that too when an account is created. So for this, like we are writing flow on account. So whenever account is created, that will call an apex class, and we will get back some of the like basically in flows we have two things, one is input and one is output. So now for that particular thing to call like the apex class which we will be calling using flow, so there will be some of the inputs which we will be passing from the flow, and then what result that particular class gives us, that will be an output, so that we have to store back in the flows. Okay, so for that, firstly we will create an apex class. The name of the class, you can name it according to what requirement you have, so like apex from flow. Then there are two major things, one is input and the second one is output. So as we all are aware of that, if we want to call apex from flow, that particular method, this method which we have, should be annotated with @invocable method, and we will give a label to it so that we can find it out in that particular flow. Okay, and then as you can see, there is only one parameter, that is list of that particular custom object, or the custom object or the wrapper class. In means like class inside, if you see, this is also class, and you can think it of as an custom object which we have created. So flow input is a custom object. Inside that we have two fields, one is record id and another one is some value. The data type is id and the data type is string. Okay, so when there will be a result from that particular this the logic, that needs to be stored in the output variable. So for that, we know that output of this particular thing will be string, so that's the reason we have created an object or a wrapper class which is flow output, and inside that we have created one variable, that is result, of type string. And then we have just passed all the input which we received from flow, that is this one, this particular thing. And in this, if you see, like we are just creating a list for the output custom object which we have created in this, that is flow output, and there is only one variable in it, that is result. And then we are storing, or we are adding all the outputs in that particular list, and then we are returning that. As you can see, the return type of this particular method is list of flow output. Okay, so now if you want to make a field required, when you are giving an input from flow, so you have to make them, if you want to make them require, then you have to name it as required equal to true. Whatever label you will give it, that will be available in the flow for selection. So okay, so now I go to the account, and I go to action, and so the name of the action is, so this is the label, so we will just copy this, and now we will just search for that. And now if you see, the name of the class is apex from flow, and the name of the class is apex from flow. And then once I hit on this, so if you can see, there are only two variables for input, and in this we have only defined two variables, one is record id, another one is some value, and we have made the record id as required, so that's the reason it is required. So what will be the record id? The account id. And now if you want to give it some value, then you can give the name. So basically we can fetch the name of that particular account, the triggering record. So this is account name, and then in show advanced options, manually assign set output value. So we want to store the whichever output we get in the description of it, so it is in the description. Then I will define. So now if I save it, now we will run the debug for it and then we will see the results. So if I run this, so search for the account is already there in the system. And if you see, so received id is this, value is this. So if you see in the class, we have output dot result is equal to received id, that is input record id, and then the value is input dot some value. So in some value, if you see, we have passed the account name. So in this case, the account name, so in this case the account name was transform example. So that's the reason it is showing in this manner. I will activate this, and as you know, this will only run when we create an account. So I will just go to account, I will create a new account, and I will name it flow test. Then I will just save it. So when this records description whether it's updated, it will not be updated because we are not updating that. So in the description, if you see, I think the field is available or not. So in this, that is not updated because okay, so there is how to provide an input to. Okay. So what we will do, okay, now I will update this record, then that particular value will be reflected. So again, I will activate it. And now again, I have to create one more record because it will work only on creation. Test record. Save it. And as you can see on the description, the particular thing is updated. Okay, so this is how we can pass the variables or the values from Apex, from flow to Apex, and then we can get the result back from there. So if you want to store it anywhere else, or like in a third object, you want to use it, so you can store this in a particular variable which you will be creating in this flow, and then later on, according to the requirement or according to the conditions, you can assign the values to the variables and you can update that particular record. So the basic question that has been asked for this in the interview is how many input variables we can pass to an Apex class from flows. So we can only pass one input variable, but that will be list of custom objects. So if in this case you see the flow input, the class which we created, that this one, the wrapper class, which has two fields. In the same manner, it can have multiple fields, like it can have up to 10 fields, 20 fields. So there will be only one parameter that we can pass, but the particular parameter which we will be passing will be nothing but a list of custom object which we are passing, and that custom object is nothing but a wrapper class which can have many fields in it. So that's all for this video. Thank you. Stay tuned.